Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your understanding. Acknowledge Him in all your ways, and He will make straight your paths. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Dear brothers and sisters in Jesus Christ, the gospel passage we are about to reflect upon is rather familiar, the multiplication of the loaves. In the first reading also we find yet another multiplication story, the protagonist being Elisha, which we find in the second book of the Kings. And surprisingly, we find a lot in common in both these instances, and I would like to draw your attention to the same. Prophet Elisha needs to feed about 100 people, and he chances upon 20 loaves of barley bread, the bread of the poor in those times. He commands his servant to feed those 100 people with those 20 loaves. The servant sees the evident, the impossibility, and he tries to convince Elisha about it. Elisha is unperturbed. He commands, distribute the loaves. Although hesitantly, he obeys. And we have a miracle. It does not end there. There are leftovers even after the need is met. The gospel too follows the same pattern, and I'm not going into the narration part of it, but the pattern. Let's look at the pattern. First, there is a problem or a concern. People are hungry and they need food. Second, there is a command. Give them food. The third, of course, the response, the doubt, the impossibility. How can we? The fourth one, looking for a solution at hand. Okay, let's see. What do we have? A few loaves of bread. It's not going to meet the need, but let's give it a try. The gospel has something more to it. He takes the bread, he gave thanks, and he blesses it, and he gives it to the disciple. Let's keep that aside. Fifth, the command is repeated. Give them food. The command is followed, problem solved, and most importantly, there are leftovers from nothingness to abundance. These are not stories that are trying to create a wow effect. This is the route map to sort our lives. Dear friends, problems are a reality. It follows us till we meet our Creator. The good news? There is a solution at hand right before us. However small they might appear to be, the solution is there right before us, waiting to be discovered. Remember the words of someone who went through a lot of trouble. St. Paul, in his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 13, says, God will not let you be tested beyond your strength. This is not just a pious thought, but a conviction born out of experience. The challenge ahead of us is to trust in the Lord and follow His command, however impossible the solution seems to be. In the book of Judges, chapter 15, there is the story of Samson. He was bound and taken to the Philistines, and when the Spirit fills him, he broke the rope that bound him. And now he's standing before 1,000 Philistines. He had no way out. Impossible is written all over it. Yet, he found a solution, a very silly solution in front of him. The jawbone of a donkey. Come on, 1 against 1,000 and a jawbone of a donkey? But with that and the Spirit in him, he slayed the 1,000. In the second book of Kings, chapter 5, we have the story of Naaman the leper and prophet Elisha. He was asked to bathe 7 times in River Jordan, which was around there. We know the story. He was not happy. He wanted big. He himself exclaims, "Better rivers in my country than this dirty Jordan." Or you could heal by waving your hand like in a magic. But his servant reminds him, he has asked of you a simple thing. May not be so grand, sounds absurd. Yes, Lord, I agree. But let's give it a try. He did. Yes, a miracle. There are many more stories in the scripture that points to the impossible rendered possible with simple, immediate, and silly solutions when the Lord is with him. The entire Exodus event is painted on the canvas of impossibility. Moses' staff that turned into the serpent that brought the water from the rock and that parted the Red Sea in two. David's small pebbles against the giant foul-mouthed Goliath. Water into wine at Cana. Mud and spittle to restore sight. The big catch of fish by Peter and his company. The Roman coin with Caesar's head embossed on it when Jesus' authority was questioned, and many, many more. What is important is to trust in the Lord. He commands us, do this. Silently and explicitly, He is also asking us, do you believe? In the gospel we are reflecting upon, we read, He did this to test Philip because He knew what he was going to do. My dear friends, He knows what He is doing. We only have to trust Him. I agree, it is not a small thing. It is a giant leap. Abraham was not expecting the call from the heaven or a ram in the bush when he raised his knife at Isaac. Moses didn't know the details when he was asked to go to Egypt and rescue the Israelites. Peter didn't know when he threw the net after a tiring night. Not necessarily always with a full heart, but they did what was asked of them with whatever they had at hand. Problems were solved and yields were beyond expectations. This is not just a story of the ancient past. We too can experience the same if we trust in Him. Remember Proverbs chapter 3 verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your understanding. Acknowledge Him in all your ways and He will make straight your paths. May God bless us all.